Hello, all, and welcome to the course on Dynamics of Public Speaking. This is Module 6 Delivering Your Speech. Who doesn't want to look confident while delivering a speech before an audience? But one must know that all are not born speakers. Speaking comes up as an art. If I tell you to speak before your family members, or before a group of your close friends, you'll do so very confidently. But if I tell you, come and speak before an audience, you'll have goosebumps all over and be shivering, and your knees would be knocking. So, who doesn't want to speak effectively? Who doesn't want to be a success before an audience? So, effective and confident public speaking should look effortless. In reality, most people need considerable time. They need to prepare, they need to rehearse before they can actually come face to face and make good eye contact and speak before their audience. But you can use a number of techniques. You can help yourself improvise on a regular basis. But this takes a lot of effort and a lot of preparation. Know that every time you stand before an audience, the audience is in your side. After all, who wants to listen to a boring speech? The audience never ever wants to be hostile to their speaker. So the ball is always in your court of how you are going to lead the presentation. Remember that while speaking to an audience, a lot of formality comes in between. Because when you speak with your family members, with your friends, or with those or your neighbors on a regular basis, that's informal conversation, that's informal speaking. But when you face an audience, and that too in your professional life, a lot of formality comes into effect. That is to say, the kind of attire you're wearing, the way you hold yourself, and the kind of words that you will be using. It also means to say that you need to be better prepared while delivering your speech. In the previous module, I have shared with you on how to create a good outline and organize your speech before you speak. The next point that I would like to highlight here is rehearsal. So once you've created a good schema of your speech, the next would be rehearse. And to rehearse, you need to do your homework well. Prepare your outline, be organized in your main content, and then rehearse before friends, before your colleagues, or before your family members. Or in your own room, you can rehearse before the mirror. When you rehearse, you go better prepared before your audience. And then whatever you present is going to look very effortless. So I want you to remember a few important points here, and that would be design your speech well, prepare extremely well, deliver it to your best, be passionate about your speak, what you're going to speak before your audience. After all, the knowledge, the information, the ideas that you present, maybe your audience doesn't know about it. So be passionate when you stand before your audience. When you're passionate, you make an emotional connect with them. And always remember to start with a catchy, with a memorable headline. You can also start with a quote or with your own personal experience. And your content should be on your fingertips. So, what are the do's that you need to remember while standing before your audience? Take care of your appearance. That would be the first point. Make sure that you're well dressed and soberly dressed. The next is the moment. It doesn't mean that once you start speaking, the judgment begins of your audience. Even when you're silent and you haven't spoken, your non-verbal body language has already started playing in the mind of your audience. So make sure you exhibit a very confident personality, you maintain good poise, and avoid all forms of anxiety, nervousness, disorganization, and timidity. And the way you approach your platform, the way you work onto the days, make sure it's done very confidently. Even before you face your audience, make sure you take a deep breath. Taking a deep breath in means you're taking a fresh amount of oxygen, which is going to charge your brain up. And when you face them, The stress that's already must have been built up is going to be released. So make sure you take at least 5 to 6 deep breaths. Visualize that whatever you're going to present before your audience is going to be very successful, very smooth. Visualize that whatever you're going to present before your audience, they are accepting it wholeheartedly. The next point here would be your body language. So how would your body language need to be? It needs to be very confident. Make sure you have a straight shoulder with your chin up. Maintain good eye contact. So as you stand on the platform, before you can even speak that first word, look around at your audience. Let that smile be on your face and maintain good eye contact with them. And the next would be when you stand on the dais, make sure that your feet are stable. Avoid knocking your knees, avoid keeping your hands in your pocket, and avoid pacing up and down too much. What happens when you maintain good eye contact with your audience? You make sure that you connect with them. So it's not only your content, but your non-verbal body communication also. The next would be using gestures. You need to use just the adequate amount of gestures. You don't need to overdo it, nor do you need to keep it too little. Use gestures, empathetic gestures while speaking, transitional gestures while moving from one point to another, descriptive gestures while explaining something. And then you also have locative gestures. Locative gestures means when you're referring to a person or to an object in the hall or in the room, you use your hands. So it's known as you either use your index finger or your palms, your whole hand, to describe where the person is seated or where the object is. The next important point here is your voice. You need to speak only as much as that much, that it doesn't need to be ear hitting to your audience. It all depends on the size of your audience. If you have a small crowd, then let your pitch be that much only. But if your crowd is big enough, make sure that if it's a big crowd and you're using a mic, keep the mic at a distance, at least a 2-inch distance from your mouth. So make sure also that when you're speaking, don't be too fast or don't be too slow, that you're dragging while speaking and you're making it very boring for your audience. Next would be your voice modulation. When you speak before an audience, you need to modulate your voice. You don't need to have the same monotonous for the entire speech. Let it fluctuate. Let it be very rhythmic. Stress on important words, on important ideas. In that way, you wake up your audience and make them want to listen to you even more. Use platform movement. Avoid standing in one place like a statue if you've got a lot of scope to walk on the platform. You don't need to pace up and down. So use platform movement as and when required. Speaking before an audience is never easy. But then when you rehearse, when you practice on a regular basis, it becomes a skill. It comes to you very natural. You'll be very spontaneous. Remember that Rome was not built in a day. A lot of preparation, a lot of planning went into building Rome. So make sure if you want your speech to go very smoothly before an audience, that is to say your future clients, your management, or you're giving a presentation before your colleague, practice and preparation is the key. So all the very best to you while delivering your speech. See ya, stay tuned and keep learning.